I believe that young people really need independence in their lives. I think that independence helps them to define who they will become as they get older. For me, at 14 years old, independence came from some time in the wilderness on my own a little bit, and from wrenching on cars, working on vehicles. But ultimately, nothing like the time when I was in New York City with my cousin Dylan, who was a sophisticated 16, at the Broadway Theater. So, kids these days have all kinds of different leashes, virtual leashes. They have cell phones, there's GPS tracking, all kinds of stuff, right? Well, in 1992, my cousin Dylan and I were walking down the aisle of the Broadway Theater, tickets in hand, just the two of us. Looking at the aisle, looking at our tickets, looking at the aisle, until we got all the way to the very, very front. I'm certain that the New York elite were looking at us thinking, who are these boys and how did they score these tickets? We had traveled to New York City with our grandparents. It was a transformative trip. The whole theme was independence. We were there to visit my uncle, and he didn't have enough room at his apartment for the whole family. So he set up an apartment across town in the village for my cousin Dylan and I to stay at. Again, there was a phone there. There were pay phones around, but we were 16 and 14. We'd wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, hop in a cab across back town over to my uncle's place. And there were no cell phones. There was no GPS tracking. We paid cash, and I'm sure we didn't tip because we were morons. And then we would spend time with our family in the city. We kind of thought we were protecting our grandparents, I think, a little bit, and we got to experience the MoMA. We went to the Met. We had amazing food. We got to see the village. We got to see all of Manhattan. It was a transformative trip. And then ultimately, at one point, my uncle looked at us out of the blue and he said, "Boys, you Birkendorks are going to go see Miss Saigon." He called us Birkendorks, and it was a fair assessment. Utah dorks with Birkenstock shoes on our feet, wide-eyed and wandering around the city. He dropped us off at the Broadway Theater. Said, call us from a payphone when you're done. We made our way to the front, and man, we experienced Miss Saigon. The women were beautiful. The actors were belting it out. The spit was almost hitting us. We're in the front row, just two Birkendorks. A helicopter, like a full-size helicopter, landed on stage at one point. It was amazing. It was a moment of independence for us to experience in the city, two Utah Birkendorks. And we made our way outside. We called our uncle to pick us up, and it was a moment of independence like no other. I'll never forget it.